Hello everyone, it's Gorilla Peas and this is Ashley and that's Fatima. And today is our last episode and we're actually going to talk about conservation in terms of what you can do to improve the lives of, I guess not improve, but try to save the lives of great apes and as well as just the environment in general. We'll also talk about specifically how you can impact the lives of gorillas as well. But first, we want to start off as a very big topic. We want to talk about palm oils. So palm oil is something that I know that originated in Africa, but now has been planted all around the world, specifically in South America, Asia, and also Africa. Um, and they are being planted they're literally tearing down the rainforests and planting palm oil plantations for profit and the livelihood of, not livelihood, what is it? The use for humans. Just, what do you think? Palm oils is bad, but why?
So they estimate that 72% of palm oil usage is used for food, while 18% is used for personal and cleaning products, and that includes makeup, lotions, that sort of thing, shampoos even. And then 10% is used for feedstock and biofuel. Out of the biofuel percentage, that 10%, 61% of that is used for energy, and then again 39% is used for other chemical products and animals and food production as well.
Yeah.
So 72% is a huge amount used for our food production, and that's not necessarily because these huge monocultures of palm oil exists that are very damaging to the ecosystem.
Yeah, so the primary reason that palm oil is bad, it's because it supports palm oil tree plantations. And what happens with palm oil tree plantations is that all over the world, natural rainforests have been taken down and are constantly being more threatened to take down by these organizations that, not organizations, large companies, corporate companies that buy palm oil. These palm oil plantations take down the rainforest, which means they reduce the habitat of great apes. They also reduce the biodiversity of the local population in general. So what ends up being is that the animals that live in the forest don't have as much food and don't have as much competition and resources. And they just don't have anywhere to live. You're literally taking away their home, their house. So that's why it's so threatening for great apes and other biodiversity that lives in the forest, the rainforest in general.
Palm oil is a big problem. So sometimes people come up with this idea of, why don't we just switch to other oils, like coconut oil, peanut oil, olive oil. All of those things could be used as well, right? Mainly right now, palm oil is an extremely versatile oil. It has very different properties. It produces a lot of oil compared to, I think right now the palm oil plantation supplies 35% of oils needed, using only 10% of the land to grow.
Yeah.
So it is very, how do I say it, like price efficient, I guess.
It's not like, generally it's efficient to produce when it comes, if you're only calculating the resources used and so the time and resources used for palm oil produces the most amount of oil out of any kind of vegetable oil plantation. So in terms of the amount of oil produced, it is the most efficient. In terms of how threatening it is to the environment, that is very. It is very, but yeah, the main problem is that palm oil is literally everywhere. And it has so many names, and a lot of time people don't even realize that it is in our daily lives that much. um, for people that are not particularly interested in the topic, they don't really check the ingredients list, and they don't know how much palm oil is inside of it. And for your consideration, and the YouTube video, we will list all the names, the most common names of palm oil on the side. For people listening as a podcast, we'll list it in the description.
Yeah, millions of acres of forests and especially Borneo and Sumatra are cut down every year to make room for these plantations. They cause destruction of habitat for specifically orangutans, but any other ape as well. And it also affects the indigenous people that live in those forests as well, because they depend on the forest for their livelihood as well. So palm
Yeah.
oil is
Yeah, but it's also very important to note that not only is it in Indonesia, um, it is in a lot of places in Africa as well.
yeah. So there's this independent organization. It's called a Roundtable of Sustainable Palm Oil, or RSPO, as many people have known since 2004. This company or this organization has a production standard that sets best practices in producing palm oil and sourcing palm oil for the industry. And according to them, they're committed to buy and use certified palm oil across operations globally that encourage companies to be transparent in their use of sourcing of palm oil and ensuring that they know who they are buying from and where it's been produced to invest. And they specifically state to support smallholder programs and sustainable landscape initiatives. So, what do we think about this?
Well, as we talked about it in class before, it is almost impossible to have sustainably sourced palm oil, because in some way or the other, they probably have enriched, what is it? Basically, they had to have been taking down the rainforest to plant the palm oil in some sense. Well, in most cases, in very rare cases, there might have been palm oil plantations originally there, or they're using unused areas for the plantations, but most likely it's the rainforest that's been taken
Yeah,
advantage of.
it's very difficult to find as a whole oils that are very sustainable and eco-friendly, because a lot of them have different kinds of impact on the environment, whether that's habitat destruction, whether that's water usage, or um, soil erosion, for instance, with olive oil. So these problems exist throughout oils. I think that, however, knowing palm oil and its usage, we can definitely cut down our consumption on palm oil for sure, because we don't use it necessarily as a mean of cooking. I think in some African and Asian countries, the local populations might do that still, where they use it as cooking oil.
That is
However,
different. That is different because they don't really buy from corporate companies that produce these palm oils. If they were buying, they would probably be buying local.
yeah, I think the problem is that what we do here is we buy palm oil in the form of processed foods.
Yeah.
So I think that if you want to make a change, I wouldn't necessarily go for RSPO certified chocolate, for instance. I would go for not having chocolate all the time.
Not having
So
chocolate all the time, or just chocolate that doesn't have any palm oil in it. Like
Yeah.
instead of opting for sustainable palm oil, just opt for no palm oil. I'm sure you'll be able to find it.
That same thing goes for shampoo. That same goes for cosmetics and anything else. Like I discovered palm oil in my soup bouillon cubes or whatever they're called, and I decided to make my own vegetable stock. So there's always those options that you can take to make things a little bit better, because we know that 72% of the palm oil that's produced is in food and 50% of that is in processed food.
Yeah.
So if we cut down that amount of stuff from our diet, it's not only good for us, but it's also good for the environment.
Yeah, because we were just searching up. I mean, I was just searching up if you can buy palm oil just as palm oil. And yes, you can, but you can only buy in giant tubs. And I believe probably in the Western world, that's not what people are looking for as a cooking oil, because it isn't necessarily the cheapest option if you're trying to buy it off the shelf. I think only when corporate companies have these like direct plantations, or they have like sources where they can buy it, I'm sure it's cheap for them. But for you as a viewer and just the common folk, you can find cheaper vegetable oil than just palm oil. So our largest consumption is already in processed food and items. And a good way to avoid it is just by looking at the description. And it's just a general good practice if you're trying to avoid items that are not really ethical, to look at the description. But honestly, just let's be honest, no one's forcing you to, and I'm sure you will forget, and don't be so ashamed that you did forget, but just try as best as you can. As long as you are aware of this problem and you're actively trying to make it better and improve on the way that you are already living, then that's a good move, a good first move at least. But we were going to talk about some other problems. Well, other items, just things that we found that are also kind of threatening to the environment, and surprising where at places that we found palm oil. Because I was thinking, I do not remember the specific YouTuber because I probably forgot her name a long time ago, but one of those YouTubers beauty YouTubers that were trying to market her eyeshadow palette, ended up being exposed that she had palm oil in her eyeshadow, which is not like super uncommon. It's somewhat common, and the thing is, her eyeshadow palette was vegan. And so people were questioning that even though it is vegan, if you're using palm oil, then is it really vegan? You're really threatening the population that were supposed to live in the rainforest. So yeah, that was like a controversy a while ago. I do not remember the name though, because I probably deleted her name in my mind. But yeah.
Greenwashing is definitely a problem when it comes to palm oil and other climate related things as well, especially when it comes to conservation. Greenwashing is a problem. So, for those that don't know what greenwashing is, it basically refers to the fact that companies or individuals sometimes sell you a product labeling it as eco-friendly or more green, and that's not necessarily the case. They're not being very transparent with you, and they sell you a product to make it look better by what's trending, essentially.
Yeah.
So always be aware of that could also happen.
I want to hear about your Instagram girl story now.
I was following this Instagrammer, and she seemed pretty cool. And recently she decided to open her own clothing brand, and she labeled it as redefining minimalism. And it was a strange thing for me to see, because she owns, I think 60 or 70 different colors of different scarves and different patterns and everything like that. Her closet was immensely full. And she decided to open a clothing company that is not at all sustainably sourced. And she labeled it as redefining minimalism. So it made me unfollow her immediately because that's not minimalism. You can't redefine it by doing that. That's capitalism.
It's just a wrong definition.
Yeah, 60 different shades of colors for a scarf is ridiculous. I don't think that's okay at all. So I'm gonna unfollow you right away.
I mean,
So
I think that's okay, but not when you're saying minimalism. Then that's
no,
not okay.
yeah. So
If collecting scarf is just your personal like interest, then yeah, go ahead. But if you're saying that's minimalism, nah, girl.
yeah. So, and the thing is, those type of people, what triggers me the most is they promote other companies for you to purchase. Like, here's my discount code, use
Yeah.
it, and you get 10% off at this company. So you're getting paid from a different company to basically promote consumerism, right? So you're not a minimalist when you do that. So yeah, be aware of greenwashing. It's not good.
Yeah.
We decided for our project to also participate in an Ecocell cell phone run. So for those people that don't know why this is significant, it's basically for the fact that there is a material called coltan, and it's being mined in Central Africa excessively in rainforests where gorillas live. And since our project was about gorillas, it causes habitat loss, it causes people to enter the forest, more poachers, more killing, all of that crazy stuff that we talked about in our previous videos.
Logging as well, they're trying to make space for the factories and mining just in general. Yeah.
So coltan is one of the reasons why these industries, for instance, enter, and coltan is extensively used in cell phones. And many, many people, I think there is a crazy number of about 70 million cell phones worldwide that get put into landfills. That's a very large number. And that coltan can easily be used again and again and again and recycled.
Yeah.
However, we end up in landfills, they're not usable anymore. So this amazing company called Ecocell does this great thing where they recycle cell phones.
Yeah.
And basically what you can do is you can drop off, and they don't just do it with cell phones, they do it with
tablets and other electronics. Yeah.
Players, e-readers, like your Kindle book. So what they do is they collect those broken items, they extract the coltan from it, and then they recycle it and use it again. Sometimes they even try to repair cell phones. So it's a great company. It's located in the States. And I got in contact with them, and I wanted to ask them if there is like a sister factory or
collecting station. Yeah.
Exactly. So it turns out that they actually work together with the Vancouver Zoo. And despite the fact that I have my own feelings for the Vancouver Zoo, I decided to contact them. And it turns out that the Vancouver Zoo does do an Ecocell cell phone recycling collection. So what you do is you drop off your old broken cell phones that you don't really use anymore, and your provider will not give you any money, and Apple will not give you any money. They'll collect it and they'll take it back to recycle, take out the coltan, and reuse it for other cell phones, essentially. That decreases habitat loss and hunting, and animals don't have to be killed by people that work in mines, for example, and poachers that feed those employees that work in mines either.
Yeah.
So reducing your demand for coltan is very, very important to save these animals. Like in our case.
We'll definitely leave the link as well as the website and what it looks like. And these are the items that you can recycle at actual Ecocell. In case that you live in the United States, you can go on their website and check which local stations they have for Ecocell service and pick up. And I believe most of the time it is drop off, and it's probably at your local zoo. That's probably they had it at Vancouver Zoo as well, because they usually do it at the zoos, probably easiest for them to access. But yeah, and there are several big ones where, and they don't only do cell phones, is probably the most prominent, and I guess most people own cell phones, and most thrown out are cell phones. But many electronics have coltan inside of it, and there are other metals that can be reused in your electronics as well. But yeah, in general, just like Kindle or tablet, or sometimes even like your Windows laptop, but the touchscreen ones, different ones have different items that can be reused and recycled. And that's what we decided to do for our part of our project, is that we wanted to ask our family and friends about their old cell phones, and whoever can donate their broken items, we would do a cell phone run and we would collect it. I believe Fatima has collected some. And
Yeah, we
then,
eight.
yeah, unfortunately, I don't have any broken items that I can donate, because I'm using my broken old phone as well, and the one before as well. I'm just keeping them for, I think, storage uses, but I have never thrown away a like a smartphone,
Yeah,
actually. Yeah. I've never
I
thrown
think
away a
some.
smartphone, either traded them in or just kept it. Yeah.
The good thing is that cell phone providers, and the thing is, I haven't looked into it properly, but cell phone providers take back your broken phones. Apple does not. I think that with Apple, if your screen is broken, they'll take it back still. But if the
Yeah.
back of your phone is broken, so the back of your phone,
Yeah.
then they won't actually take it back. So you could always try going to your cell phone provider, and they might give you a discount on another phone. Your other options would be to buy secondhand phones.
Yeah.
That way you don't actually promote more
Yeah.
production and new coltan.
There's several ways of trying to reduce it without just recycling your old phone. Obviously that's one of the options, but you can also just try not to buy a new phone all the time. That's like probably the worst option you have there. As you said before, there's a lot of people that like just literally wait for the release of a phone and they change their phone right away. If you do so, the best option you have is to trade in your still functioning phone with the company that you bought it with. Because if you do that, they actually do reuse the parts of the phone, and they try to, well, in some way, you're at least better than throwing out your old one. Okay. It's not the best option, but you're in some way you're trying to reduce your carbon footprint, not really, but okay. Another option is buy secondhand phones, or just keep using your older one because it's not broken yet, and you can also just fix it if you really need to. Or you can try to trade it in with Fido or other companies, your provider company. Sometimes they also do a phone trade-in. When they trade it in, they do either recycle it or they give it back to the company, and they know what to do with it. Anyways, those are better options than actually just chucking the phone in the trash. But Ecocell is definitely a good option if none of the providers are able to take it back and you do need to dispose of the phone. It is the most environmental friendly option to actually discard your phone. Yeah.
Yeah, and we had a list of 5 things that you can do to help gorillas in general. So we just wanted to talk about that a little bit. I think that a lot of people are overwhelmed to listen to conservation talks, and then they wonder, okay, what am I supposed to do? And then they don't sometimes do anything after that. But we just decided to make a small little list and talk about 5 different things that we recommend you to do. So we can just go along. Do you want to start with like the first one?
I don't know where's the list.
So the first one is, so we had donate, watch out for palm oil, and do your research, spread awareness to friends and family, and your cell phone. So I'll start out with the first one. So like donating. If you Google gorilla funds or gorilla donations or anything like that, or conservation gorilla, you will find a ton of different organizations that are willing to help gorillas. Some of them are a little bit more sketchier than others, but there's good ones like the Diane Fossey Gorilla Fund. It has been around since 1967.
Yeah.
Diane Fossey is a pioneer when it comes to gorilla research. So I definitely recommend that foundation because they also work with Grace together. I think that Grace was initiated by Diane Fossey's foundation. So definitely, if you want to donate to Diane Fossey. Her foundation is amazing. They do a lot of stuff. They work with the local populations. So it's definitely a good initiative. There's also the International Gorilla Conservation Program, which is pretty good. And then there's also the Gorilla Organization. Those ones are less known. They're not as popular, but I would definitely look more into it. And then the WWF, which has some controversial things to it. However, they have a huge name and you could give it a shot. But personally, I would still donate to the Diane Fossey Gorilla Fund just because it's Diane Fossey. So that's the first thing. Ashley, do you want to do the second thing?
Yeah, so the second one is to watch out for palm oil and do your research. And for as much we talked about palm oil today, I'm sure you know somewhat about it already, but there is still much more to learn, and you can look up a lot more articles on it. Just be careful of the greenwashing, but yeah, just educate your family and friends on this topic, and the more people know about palm oil, and the more you know about the sources of your food, it's just better, it's safer for you, and it's also more friendly for the environment. So definitely watch out for that.
The third point that we had was you should spread awareness to your friends and family. So you can do that in regards to cell phones. You can do that in regards to palm oil. You can do it in regards to any material that comes or is manufactured from Central Africa, different food and products, donation initiatives, all of those things you can discuss with your friends and family. Many people are not actually aware about gorillas. They don't think that apes are in decline. And if you just tell them a fun fact about it, which is not actually a fun fact, it's more of a sad fact.
Many people can't even differentiate apes and monkeys. Did you know that?
Yeah. It's really sad that we're not learning as much as we should about our environment. But I think that if every one of us just says one small thing about, hey, did you know this and this? I think that a lot of people take something with them. I definitely took something from learning about gorillas more than I did before.
Yeah.
So
what's the thing that you remember the most?
What I learned from gorillas?
Yeah, from our research.
I think that sometimes for me, I was watching these documentaries about like gorillas or elephants in Africa, and I was like, why is it so hard to like just save them, just do it, like just do something about it? Why are people not working towards this? And then I realized that it's very difficult to work for conservation when you're starving. Right? Sometimes it's very difficult to understand the local population there because we live in such like, prioritize, like we have this like privileged life here, and we don't know how it feels like if you're starving or if you can't feed your kids, or if like you have nothing else to work with and you have no choice but go and kill a gorilla or something like that to make a living. We completely sometimes ignore in conservation the local populations. And I think what I learned is that you cannot go for conservation if you don't help the local population there as well.
It's a very different world out there.
Yeah, so you have to, like, I used to watch documentaries and be like, why can't they just do it? Like, why do they want to kill these elephants? And then I realized they don't want to kill these elephants, but if I was starving, maybe that's what I would do too, as no other means, right?
They will make a lot of money, and that means the best for them, for their family, for them at the moment. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all people can really like try to think about. Yeah.
So what we have to do is we have to help those populations as well. We have to carry them along, and we have to be able to help them support themselves in different ways. So spread awareness. It's a good thing to do. It's not necessarily slacktivism, but
Yeah. Well, for me, I've always spread awareness. I'm sure my family and friends, I never shut up about animals just in general, especially to my families. So during the course of me learning about gorillas, my mom has known way too many facts about gorillas, and the fact that gorillas in the wild can live up to 256 kilograms will forever be stuck in my head for no reason. But yeah, spiritual awareness is a really important thing, and especially for just like minor things when you go to zoos or visit places with your family and friends. You can be aware that certain zoos might not be in the best condition for gorillas, and you can probably see that, so you can try not to support them, or I don't know, try not to spread the weird image of gorillas being weird savages because they're vegetarian. Anyways,
yeah.
the last thing we have, is it last thing or the fourth thing we have is that, as we mentioned before, and the project that we're doing, try not to buy a new phone everywhere and recycle as much as possible, as much as you can. That doesn't only include phones and electronics. You can try to recycle anything that you can, and a good way to do that is donate items that you don't need in your household, so people locally can pick it up and have their use of it. So that really reduces carbon footprint and reduces the possibility of producing more items.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure this was more than 5, but we
Sure.
said I'm pretty sure they all had sub points. So
Yeah.
but yeah, that was our talk,
That
our
was our
podcast.
talk. That was our 5 episodes of everything that we wanted to say about gorillas. There's one last point. I thought we talked about it, but maybe we talked about it in a draft and then we didn't mention it much in the actual podcast.
Mhm.
Gorilla feminism is a topic I want to get into. We were wondering, why are there like almost no representation of female gorillas except for Coco? Pretty much, right? Can you
Yeah.
think about another one that's like well represented in the public other than Coco?
Tarzan's surrogate mother, but that's it.
That's about it, I think.
And I don't even know her name, so
I don't know her name because the little one, the young one, was like more prominent, or more of a character, I guess, in the movie.
yeah, I forgot what the name for that one was.
Is it like Sabu or something? I
I
don't
just know the
remember.
big one, Karchak. I think that was his name, the big
Oh
one.
really? Yeah.
Karchak.
There was like a big brother and the tiny brother, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah. Gorilla feminism is a thing, y'all. You know, like the girls are very picky about their menses, and they're very
Yeah, we learned that throughout our research that
yeah,
they
they're very independent and they choose
not.
their men. They don't hesitate, and um they don't grab on whatever they get like other apes do, just saying.
They might not even mate with somebody, and they can change their mind too. I think that's what happened with Coco. She picked out a mate, and then later on she was like, you know what, Michael, it's not gonna happen.
Not Michael, it was the Ndume.
Oh, do it, never mind. Oh,
Michael was like her brother, that's why they didn't mate. But yeah.
okay, never mind. She
Yeah,
never made it with
she was
either.
like, she chose Ndume, and then later on she was like, actually he's more like
A
friend
brother.
to me than yeah, a bro. He's more like a bro than actually like a boyfriend.
Yeah.
And then yeah. And another fun fact, just like random things at the end of the session, since this is our last one. Another fun fact is that gorillas are very similar to humans in that they reproduce very slowly. So many gorillas can only give birth to like a few babies during their lifetime. I'm talking about female gorillas because males obviously can have many mates, but um, yeah, because they need to raise the infant for several years before giving birth again. And it's one of the reasons why gorilla is hard to repopulate as well. They don't reproduce as much as chimpanzees do. And things like that. Very fascinating creature.
Yeah, they're amazing. Honestly, they are. So we need to treasure them more and help them survive.
Definitely. But I think that's about everything that we covered in our presentation and more. Because we talk about like personal opinions and experiences as well. But yeah, that's our 5 episode podcast. If you're interested, our stuff is on our YouTube channel. This channel, you can click down below to see all the videos there. There will be a playlist. We also have a SoundCloud listed in the description. And then on there, you can just listen to the audio version. But yeah, that's about it. If you have any more questions, if you want to contact us, leave a comment or you can email us. But yeah.
And if you want to learn more about conservation and efforts, you can always follow Dr. Barute on Twitter and Instagram. She always updates things on orangutans usually,
Yeah.
but you can try finding more information there as well. And the Diane Fossey Foundation.
Yeah.
Follow them.
Yeah, you can follow Dr. Barote Galdacaz on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Did she say Facebook as well? Maybe. We'll also list that down below. But yeah, she mostly posts about advocates on orangutan conservation, but also great apes in general. Yeah, and other environmental issues. Yeah. So that's about it. Bye. We won't have another episode, but bye.